Hey there guys, this is Josh here again, and this time I'll be doing on what makes a good starter snake. Alright, here I'm holding my albino corn snake, and most people think of a good starter snake as either a corn snake or a ball python. And they both have their advantages and disadvantages. Depends on what you like. Others that also make good starters are any of the other types of colubrids for the most part. Mainly the milk snake and king snakes both make great starters as well. First, I'll start with the corns. The corns are interesting because they are extremely active snakes, just like the rest of the colubrids. As you can see, he's constantly moving and being active. He's just curious. And they require about a 20-gallon tank, which is pretty simple to get a hold of, and don't require very much heat. You might have to get a small heat lamp depending on your temperatures in your house and outside, but they are normally good with around room temperature. Sometimes they need a bit warmer. They have amazing temperaments. I have let little kids hold him. I have let older people hold him. The colors and the temperament both drive them to hold him. He has never struck at me or anyone else. He is gentle with his food. He does not have a very strong feeding response. He likes rats, actually, mine does. But generally, corn snakes will stick to either adult mice or get to either rat pups or small rats. I haven't seen very many that eat much bigger than that. They are awesome snakes. They are nocturnal like the majority of snakes, but you will see them out and about a lot more often than you will, say, a ball python. They just come out and about and adventure more. They do not require very high humidity, so normally will not require any misting or anything like that. They do drink from their water bowls good, and I mean, they don't really get tired of being held. Mine eats once a week and had been on a fast for a little while, but decided to start eating once I put him on his aspen bedding instead of the paper towels, which he liked to get completely under. He still burrows in his aspen bedding, so I do recommend getting them a decent amount of bedding to burrow in, but he eats now, I guess because it helps him stay warmer. They're awesome snakes, and if you want an active, adventurous snake that's extremely docile, I highly recommend a corn snake over most other types of snakes. There are a lot of different morphs out there you can get through a breeder, from anything from bright like he is to really, really dark morphs. I mean, you can get about anything. I really recommend getting from a breeder other than a pet store because, as I mentioned in my other video, pet stores normally do not take the greatest care of their animals, and breeders normally take really good care of their animals. Plus, with him, you can see that you know the genetics if it comes from a breeder. Pet store genetics, normally they are normals, but there are things you can get and that are not normals there, and normally you will want to know the genetics of the animals you have. It makes it a lot simpler and makes it a lot better breeder if you ever decide to get into breeding. And trust me, you can find breeders almost anywhere. If you have trouble finding a breeder for a corn snake morph that you want, then you can comment or message me and I'll do what I can to try and find you a local breeder. And if I can't find a local breeder for you, then I will show you a set of really good online breeders for corn snakes. Alright, and now we'll get to the ball python. The ball pythons are a little bit different than the corn snakes. They are still just as docile as the corn. Sorry, I'm trying to wrestle them both at the same time. Alright, they're just as docile as the corn, but not quite as adventurous. As you can see, he likes to just wrap around my hand, and generally that's where he stays. He has only bit me once, but that was a completely my fault bite. It was a feeding response. I went to move him just after he had ate, and he grabbed hold of my finger. It didn't last long, and that was whenever I had also just gotten him. So he has not tried to bite me since. They a lot lazier snake, and they also require quite a bit higher humidity. Normally with a ball python you want anywhere from 50 to 70% humidity. Compared to the corn snake, that's quite a bit. A good way to keep up the humidity with them is using cypress mulch bedding and covering the good amount of your screen top lid, if that is what you are using. That will help keep the bedding up immensely. They also require higher temperatures. Normally a basking spot for them needs to be in the 90 to 95 range. You do not want any hotter than that, and you can go a little bit lower, but I don't recommend going much lower. They start out normally on hopper mice to fuzzies, depending on how big they are when they're born, and they go up quickly. He is on small rats. Normally they get up to medium to large rats whenever they are fully grown. He is around 6 to 7 months old and around 400 grams. I mean, this is what a ball python does. They wrap around you, and that is it. If you manage to scare them, unlike other snakes, ball pythons normally will not bite you. They curl up into a ball, hence the name ball python. And sometimes that's how they are whenever you're holding them. They'll just be in a ball. Normally that isn't the greatest sign, but some ball pythons are just like that. So that's what they do. They are not active snakes at all. They are nocturnal as well, but even at night you might see them cruise around their cage a little bit to get a drink and all that, but for the most part they are not, I mean, they're not as adventurous as the corn snakes. So if you don't like the adventurous snakes because you're scared, then I would recommend a ball python. But if you don't like the fact of the snake wrapping around you, I really don't recommend the ball pythons, because that is all they do. The corn snakes don't wrap around you as much, but I mean, that's all the ball python does, is he wraps around you. He also eats once a week, but another thing about them is they are known for going off of feeding, so that is something you have to be prepared for. As long as they are not losing weight, then they are fine. If they go excessive amounts of time, then you can try other food prey. But sometimes they just go off food. He went off in the beginning of winter for 4 weeks, ate twice, went off again for another 3 weeks, and is actually still off. They're just like that. They don't eat as much. I mean, you have to think, in the wild they're extremely they get what they can. They don't know they're going to get a meal every week whenever they're in the wild. So sometimes they reproduce that in captivity by not always eating. It's interesting, but at the same time, it will stress you out normally the first time it happens, but you get used to it. As long as they are not losing weight, you really don't have a reason to worry. And like I've said, the corn snakes and the ball pythons are both amazing snakes. Ball pythons also have a lot of morphs you can get from breeders because they are very highly bred as well. He is just a normal ball python. The normals look awesome as well, but there's albinos, there's blue-eyed Lewistics, there's exanthics. There is almost anything you can think of if you want it. They have extremely dark morphs and extremely light morphs. And they have pattern mutations like the spider, and they're all extremely interesting, honestly. They both have great breeders. I recommend getting from a breeder with any animal if you can. Try not to get from the pet stores. Family-owned pet stores are normally okay, but try to avoid the big chain pet stores. All my snakes eat frozen thawed prey, and if you can, I recommend getting yours on it. But if they only eat live, just make sure you're watching them while they eat their live, please, so that you can interrupt it if the rat or mouse tries to bite them. It's just being a responsible pet owner doing that, honestly. If you don't, it's being extremely irresponsible. Alright, I hope that this video helped you guys choose a good starter snake, and please like, comment, subscribe, and send me any questions that you want. Thank you for watching.